There were 6 of us siblings. So after my older sister, Roberta, there was Herman, and a year and a half later there was Earl, and a year and a half later there was Harry, me. And after me there were my 2 younger sisters. From the time we were born, both of us born in a log cabin in Union, Missouri, we were very close and have remained very close. Well, it's been in some respects, and I should say to the most part, a joyride, because I have seen the fulfillment of the great potential that I saw in him as a young kid. The leadership skills that Herman has demonstrated all of his life were first demonstrated to me when I was a toddler.
The vision that he had, I mean, going back 40 years now with the foundation, it's hard to envision a future if you've never seen it before. And Herman's gift was, without having example, without knowing what was possible, setting out and making things possible.
He'll get people to do things for him, for the organization, for the community, for the schools, whatever it is. He'll get people to do things that they might not ordinarily think about doing. So I was always proud of how he got those things on board and got it moving.
Well, I'll give you an example. And you talk about thinking big. This man wants to see a large entertainment center, a facility that could house thousands of people to see plays, to see dramatic arts, to see dance. The man just wants to see the fine arts inside a building that would be, of course, unique to this community, other than the relatively small venues we have through the school system and the university. No, Herman's thinking bigger than that. I really think that someday it's going to be accomplished. Whether he's there to cut the ribbon or not, I don't know. I sure hope so. But if it happens, it's going to be because of the energy that he has already developed in the community for such a concept. That's thinking big. That's how he thinks big. At the same time, Herman will sit down and want to know if I can bleed $25 out of somebody for a donation to Lincoln School. And yep, I'll find my way to do it. But he can go one extreme or the other, but he's always shaking and moving.
Before his leadership in the Lincoln School Alumni Foundation, he was a little dissatisfied, or I should say somewhat dissatisfied with the position that the community had taken on an artist commission to portray the advancement of different people and the contributions that different people had made. I guess it was a mural, mosaic, up at the City Hall. But the depiction of one black person there was of a black person with his hands out and smiling broadly. I suppose I would have looked at it and say, well, it's they put a black person in there. Oh, good, they've got a black person. Herman was offended because everybody else was depicted as making some contribution. It seems like a small thing, but Herman was so bothered by it that he led demonstrations, and eventually, to the credit of the community eventually saw the need to change that image. And indeed, the artist did make a change and depicted the black in a contributing enterprise, which of course made all the difference and removed that what had been considered an insult to Herman. Well, that's the kind of spirit that I think imbues his work throughout. And I think that the people who work with him and the people who have worked alongside of him in the community have come to recognize and appreciate it.
And Herman will not take no for an answer. He'll make and fix up his problems. He dreams big and he carries through with it. He's been a touchstone between the community and the schools in particular. He hasn't let the schools get out there. Uh, the organization is dedicated to the well-being of children, and Herman has carried through with that 100%. Every meeting was for the benefit of a child, the education of a child, the exposure of a child to a different activity or a different experience. So he is a true educator. He would step right up and make sure it was done. He also realized that to affect the kids, he also had to work with the adults that control the school. And I say he's done a masterful job meeting and expressing what we could see in maybe the Black community needed to be done. But frequently, it wasn't just a Black thing or a white thing, it was what needed to be done.
Righteousness. He's colorblind. He's not a racist. He is true American. This man knows what some of our forefathers knew. Education is the key to freedom. And he believes in that. That's why I said earlier, Herman might have retired from education, but he continues to educate. And he realizes how critical that is.
You talk about paving a way, building a bridge, fixing a ladder. Pick your metaphor. Herman is someone who, and within his own mind, was able to envision a future that we didn't know was there. And more than that, to pick out what those future kids would need to help them achieve goals and help them build, take that next step.
When you support children in a community, you're also supporting the community as a whole. Everyone benefits. And so it is, it was such an advantage to have the Lincoln School Alumni Foundation. In his administrative position, he works hard, and he does that, but he also supports people that we don't see. If people are in need of certain things, he will be there to help them.
He is comfortable with people because he's not shy about who he is.
Smart people, they look for people who are smarter than them. Really smart people. To carry the banner, to take it further.
Herman had no qualms about asking people to do things. And the reason is he was emboldened by his strong belief in what he was doing, in the rightness of what he was doing.
It's hard to understand what's possible if you've never seen it. And Herman was someone who, throughout my life, I saw at different phases where he started off and he was always Uncle Herman, but then he was also an administrator in the University City school district over there. He was a leader over there. He was someone who had been off to college, who had played college sports, who had done a lot of the things that I aspired to do. And so knowing that it was something that I could be and could do, it made it that much easier to go ahead and take those steps myself without fear, being brave, with the idea, honestly, of going out and coming back and having the impact that he has here.
He has influenced and impacted enough people to support the mission of the Lincoln School Alumni Foundation.
I don't know whether Herman ever kept much a secret. He tells us everything. His two hobbies, golf, we know he loves that. As soon as the snow is off the ground, he'll go chase the ball. I know that's his, and I don't even think he waits for the snow to get off the ground sometime. And then the other thing he loves is fishing. And I think that is his quiet time, his relaxing time. And I like him to fish because I like fish, and he shares it with me.
I can tell you that, and my wife will confirm, that I'm not a very good dancer. And I'm very envious of Herman because he can really cut up the rug in his age. And I find that very, well, I'm envious, let's face it. I can't fish like he can, I can't dance like he can, and I never could play basketball like he could. I'm not even sure I could beat him in a foot race. But he seems to always be thinking.
Whether we as adventurous boys, young boys, were deciding to walk over a trestle, a train trestle, whether we were deciding to swim, go swimming in the Burvis River, which was close by, or whether we were doing any number of fun things, whether we were picking hickory nuts or walnuts, or eating blackberries, wild blackberries. That's what we did in our free time. And as I say, I didn't have to make any decisions. All I had to do was follow Earl, and all he did was follow Herman.
Herman is the type of person who would, I think people would respond to that. I know they would see this guy, he's a man of faith and a man of, of good character. And I think people see that.
I think it's pretty well documented that Herman is a critical part of the history of Edwardsville. Edwardsville in the 50s wasn't a perfect place, but as much of what he was allowed him to go off into that imperfect place and to help make it and have a vision to make it a better place. Yeah.
Well, I would say Herman's a guy who is a go-getter. He never took no for an answer. He involved everybody. He has big ideas, and he's not afraid to execute them, to take whatever energy he needs to get the job done. And sometimes I would just marvel at what Herman would be proposing that we do. And we would all work at it. He would work the hardest by far. And it would happen. And we love that things did happen.
He is a guy who just, really, he wants the best for everyone. That's his nature. That is what he does. He brings people together. He and builds people up. He grows people. The Lincoln School Alumni Foundation is in very capable hands. I was just out there sitting in their meetings and I'm listening. I'm saying, yeah, they will be fine.
First thing I would say to him is thank you. I would say thank you for being who you are. Thank you for taking the lessons, the best of what our parents and foreparents and their grandparents tried to instill, and going forward with it in a way that not everybody could. And thank you for being selective in picking, when you have a choice, picking the positive aspects and moving forward with it, as opposed to dwelling on the negative. And I say this in behalf of my siblings. I mentioned before the three brothers, but also my older sister Roberta, and a sister under me, Cecilia, and a sister who still lives in Edwardsville, Carolyn Shaw Turner. All of us are extremely proud of Herman and his contribution. and his example. And we hope that in any way that we can, that we can contribute to it.